of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of council, please. Councilmember Jefferson? Here. Councilmember Jones?
Here.
Councilmember Cave?
Here.
Councilmember Oliveira? Here. Councilmember Putnam?
Here.
Councilmember Steiger?
Here.
Councilmember Walker? Here. All present. Thank you. So are there any changes or additions to tonight's agenda?
I have one, please. I would like to add the resolution to oppose the closing of King County Public Health Department. Josh had brought it up, and Amy has been out of town for training. So this is the first time we've been able to get it on.
So should we put that under new business? Council approve put that on new business? All right. Under new business, resolution number, there it is, 2014-203. Any other changes or additions to tonight's agenda? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of the agenda as amended?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on to audience comments. I have no sheets in front of me. Is there anyone that wanted to speak anything that's not on tonight's agenda? Okay, moving on. So with the mayor's report, I just want to remind council and everybody that we'll be having the council budget workshop will be October 22nd here in council chambers at 6:30, and we will be providing sandwiches for council. Second thing is, I want to remind everybody that the park is closing tomorrow, October 15th. Thank you very much for having that on the reader board to get that out there. I appreciate that, to get the message out to those of us that live in the community. The other thing, while I'm speaking, I wanted to just touch on a couple of things from the Sound Cities Association, so I don't have to go back to that when we get there. The Sound Cities Association, the Public Issues Committee was last Wednesday. I wanted to let council know they are looking for an appointment for the Area Agency on Aging. And it's an appointment from the Sound Cities Association, and basically what that committee, it's an advisory committee for guiding the aging and disability services in Seattle-King County and providing services or advocate on behalf of older adults and individuals with disabilities. Also, they monitor, evaluate, and comment on policies, programs, and hearings, levies, and community actions that will affect older adults and individuals with disabilities. Form coalitions and work in cooperation with other agencies, organizations, and individuals to achieve our mutual goals. This meets on the second Friday of every month from noon until 2 in the Seattle Municipal Tower. So I wanted to let council members know they had this posted once before, didn't get any response, and so it's being posted once again, and so I just wanted to put it out there in case anybody was interested. It is an elected official appointment. Also at Sound Cities Association, we discussed a few other things that will be coming back to our November meeting. I'll probably want to talk about these a little bit and workshop to kind of get a feel where council stands on some of these issues. And one of them that they're going to be looking into a little bit more is military bases being considered regional centers. Because of the number of people that are employed, they feel that it could get that designation, but that's going to be researched a little bit more. Also, they're looking at the Manufacturing Industrial Center request from Arlington and Marysville had requested that the number of employees be reduced and maybe kind of create a two-tier system. And so the Sound Cities Association, and in speaking with Jack, we're kind of not in favor of creating a two-tier system and keep the system the way that it is, that it's 10,000 employees, you know, that you employ 10,000 people to meet the threshold. And so I voiced that was our discussion that we had, but I wanted to talk to council. We kind of, and the Sound Cities Association is kind of on the same page. I mean, it's like people work really hard to get that designation, and it should be continued on down that path. So. But we'll talk about it more. There was not an official vote. It was just a conversation that took place. And they wanted to make sure that it wasn't going against the City of Pacific because we are considered working on getting that designation. quick. It was a very full night, a long meeting. There was a lot of discussion regarding the King County proposed budget. And, you know, not a whole lot that we can do, just maybe some positions that we can take moving forward. There was also some discussion regarding Metro Transit, and I think everybody saw the posting that there will be no cuts in 2015 regarding Metro, so our DART service is still good through 2015, and they're looking at that even further. There was also some discussion on the AWC draft legislation issue. I will get that printed and put it in your box so you understand what the Association of Washington Cities and what Sound Cities Association is looking at for the upcoming legislation session and what their priorities are going to be. So with that, that was the Sound Cities Association meeting and in my report.
What time is the meeting? It says 22nd, so next Wednesday. What time?
At 6:30. We originally wanted to do 6, but it seemed like people couldn't make it by 6, so we changed it to 6:30. And like I said, sandwiches will be provided. I appreciate all council for their input on the budget moving forward. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, City Administrator. There you go. Boy, if we had a microphone.
What did you tell her last time, John?
I can't repeat it with the recording going.
Good evening. I don't know if all of you know this, but Ken Barnett is out, been diagnosed with a serious illness, and so we're taking donations to put together a gift basket for him and his wife Charlie. Our goal is to include comfort items for when he's feeling, especially for gift cards to local restaurants near their home that Charlie can use to grab dinner, and gift cards for their local grocery store, things to help keep him occupied during his recovery, and of course our well wishes. So if you'd like to donate towards the gift basket, this is usually on Angelica's desk. It has been there for a couple of weeks, and tomorrow we're going to take it and start getting the gifts for them. So it's going to be over here by me, and if you want to, or come in tonight to my office before we leave, or tomorrow, we can do that. Okay. The uniform union negotiations have moved into the economic stage. I will be discussing the union's proposal with the council in executive session at the end of this meeting. And the next time I'm meeting with the union is next Tuesday at 10 o'clock for 2 hours. Staff is now working on the preliminary budget for 2015, which includes the mayor's message, department managers, directors' narratives, goals, objectives for 2015, and accomplishments in 2014. The preliminary budget is due to the council by October 31st, and then it will be disseminated to the public when they choose to leave the 11th of November or 10th, somewhere in that area. So when we have the meeting next week, that's when time for input will be really valued, so we can have the final, it won't be the final budget, but it'll be pretty close to it. Once we finish with the preliminary budget, then it's just a matter of looking at the numbers of 2014 and going and finishing those out. But we still have time after that to make changes if the council so chooses, or staff or the mayor finds something they want to add to it. Due to Ken's health, we are currently using the services of a building inspection of Pierce County. However, between the cost and still needing a code enforcer, the mayor has directed staff to start a search for a temporary building inspector code enforcement employee. I say temporary as Mr. Barnett has until next September to return to his position with the city. Are there any questions? That's my report.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Kelly.
Their September stats are in your packet. Any questions?
Any questions from council? No? None? Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate it. Yes.
In respect for Kelly's time, does she need to be here every week?
Well,
We've never asked.
and I was just kind of thinking that very same thing, that if you guys are receiving this in your packet, if you have a question, email, and I will direct Kelly to be here. Otherwise, we'll just say you don't need to come to the council meeting. I was thinking
Some
that
people
very
don't like to
same
eat,
thing.
I heard
but
it.
she might have a family or something.
Might, yeah. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you. Okay, public safety.
Other than the September report, I don't have anything further. If there are any questions,
Questions from council? No?
thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, we'll start with Public Works.
Good evening, Council. I'll pick up just a little bit where the mayor left off on the reminder about the closing of the park coming up tomorrow. Just a couple more details, what that means for the community. The portables will go away for the toilet services, the benches will be picked up, trash cans, and then the storm drainage will be covered off for the winter season. And we'll have some barricades in place until King County Flood District can come in and put the HESCOs in place. So that's the details that are coming on that. Additionally, the maintenance worker one, the 2 employees, were completed with that selection process. And we have the first employee that will be coming on board Thursday this week, and then the follow-on Monday, the next employee. So we're very pleased to have them both coming aboard. We also, I introduced a new process through this selection process, and it was a job simulation, and it involved more people than just myself or another senior member of the staff, and it allowed the peers of these employees to get involved and actually help go through a job simulation. I'll give you just a very quick example, and then I'll stop. One of the job simulations was the candidates came in and were asked to drive a city vehicle around a short obstacle course, all on private property, not out on the public street, and then back the vehicle into a series of cones. So this was designed to put the candidates through an actual simulation of some of the tasks that they would be asked to perform. And the feedback that I received from this, from the employees who participated, is that this was a very welcome addition, and that everybody who participated felt that this was the best selection process that they had gone through, and felt they became owners of the process, as well as myself and others who had to make the final selection. So very pleased to report on that, and that wraps up my report. Unless there's any questions.
Questions? Councilmember Jones?
The other question is what he was reporting on, but to reiterate the concern I have with First Avenue between Skinner and Pacific Avenue with the markings that were recently laid down. Because I've had, because of the way they twisted it to the north side of the lane, there's a vehicle that parks legally on that side of the road. But the striping rear so much that no vehicle can go legally by that car and stay in that northbound or the westbound lane. And so they crossed the yellow line. I've seen a school bus do it, and I've had 2 cars do it to me where they've crossed into my lane at me, because they've lost their ability to drive legally in their lane. So they illegally cross the line and try to run into me. But, other than that, but the problem I have is the layout of the line is not associated with where the road is, as far as the separation. Because it goes back and forth on First Avenue where you have right-of-way on one side and 0 property line up against the road. And then it switches because as the roads were developed, the community was developed. But you can stand there and look at the line and it just kind of goes a little swerve on it. So it's something, before somebody gets in an accident, we really need to take a look at that and get our striping back down here and straighten it out.
I've looked at the situation, but I haven't had a chance to put together a formal report. I think what you articulated is accurate, that the actual road meanders through the right-of-way, which makes it very challenging to stripe. But since I do owe you a written response, that will be forthcoming. And
if you look at on that road, I drove it for 20 years. But that there's a seam down the middle of the road, and that really is the center of the lane, you know, because the right-of-way switches back and forth. But, yeah, I don't know what they were thinking when they did that little swerve, but it definitely creates a problem right there, so. He's going around it. No, they would have hit it.
They stopped striping, because they did that on frontage where you'll see these gaps in the road, they just stopped striping if there's cars parked there. So that was gonna be my question, is are they gonna come out and fill the gaps in?
No, this particular contract with Pierce County is complete. We got those services that we had requested, and to get them out, as you see with this time of the year, it's very, very challenging. I will see what I can look into to coordinate with Pierce County on both of those issues. So I'll be working up a response and working with the city administrator to respond back to both.
Any other questions?
I just wanted to bring it up again.
Okay.
Want to make sure we take care of it with
And I know that it has been addressed, I
Yeah.
was aware of it and has looked at it. Okay.
Okay, thank you, council.
Thank you. Thanks. Have a safe drive home. Okay, come on up, Jack.
Well, good evening, council members and mayor. I just have a couple items tonight. I'll try to keep them brief. I've been having a fun time looking at our city codes, and some of them need some work more than others. One of them being our SEPA regulations. That's short for State Environmental Policy Act regulations. It turns out they're pretty weak and pretty bad, and as a result, it can lead to some SEPA appeals that are on a technicality because they're so weak. So, and actually we've had to withdraw 2 SEPA determinations as a result of the way the code was written and how the SEPA determinations were put out, because it was very confusing on how to word them. So I've been working with the city attorney, myself and her, and been working on junking the current code, coming up with completely new code provisions for SEPA regulations, and we foresee that coming to the council at your next workshop as an initial review. They are administrative regulations, so they do not require to be brought before the planning commission, because they are administrative in how we deal with the Environmental Act for the state. So they'll be coming up, and we'll fill you in on some of the ramifications if we don't change those codes right away. The second item I have is that last Tuesday night we had our parliamentary procedure meeting with the majority of the planning commission, all of the parks board, a couple of civil service commissioners, I believe. I'm trying to remember everybody there, and 1 council member. And it was a very fun session. It lasted for 90 minutes. We had a lot of good information from them, and I think it was well worth for everybody that's there, including myself, since it's been a while since I've gone through one of those, to see how things should actually be done. So we had a really good time, and again, it's something that was really worthwhile going through. It was money well spent as far as I could see. Questions?
Questions for council? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Amy, for coordinating that.
All right, next up, community services.
Good evening. I just have a short report like everybody else. Joanna's back. So we had Taco Tuesday today, and every Tuesday she's back from vacation. She's scheduling a Halloween party as long as also with the seniors. Her, of course, Halloween day, Friday the 31st. The kids are going to come through. Just reminding people, you know, should have candy and that type of thing for the little kids. The senior center is having a Halloween costume contest, and I've asked a pillar of our community to be a judge. I have not heard back, but I'm sure it will be fun no matter who we get to judge. The costume party should be at noon. I don't believe Joanne's going to have a costume party, but she's having popcorn and movies, and we're just planning for Halloween. Any questions? Thank you.
Okay, council members have anything that they would like to share that's not related to the board or committee?
Today,
I was listening to Cairo News Radio, and something came up about the RCW for publicly owned vehicles to be marked. And what came out of it is that all police vehicles, county or city, have to be marked. They can't be unmarked unless, the only thing that can be unmarked is state patrol. And because I couldn't get my email working until I got here, I sent it to Rich, and I gave Amy the RCW, but do I need to pass that on to Katie? Is that how I do this for review by the public safety?
No,
or
that is fine, I think.
Put it on? Okay. I'm just concerned that if an officer pulls somebody over, they can challenge it because if they're in an unmarked vehicle. And I know we have one.
Well, and I want to look at the definition of what
Yeah.
unmarked is.
That's the RCW.
But we can bring it up and refer it to the Public Safety Committee.
Yeah, they had a whole news thing on it, and they challenged it, so.
Any other committee reports that, or any other council member reports that's not related to the committee? No? Okay. So, Finance Committee.
Since tonight was supposed to be our scheduled meeting, we moved it to next Tuesday at 1:30.
Next Tuesday at 1:30. So, may I ask a question, why it's at 1:30 and not in the evening for public to attend?
Katie, she wasn't able to make it, so to work around everyone's schedule and to keep Rich from having to stay after work again, we did it that way since we're gonna be here next night with the budget, workshop budget.
Okay. I just have concerns about scheduling meetings where it's not accessible to the general public to attend when you're a public meeting. That's just my concern.
They're still welcome to attend.
They're not working.
Well, but we need to schedule them when they work for us too.
So, anyway, this is just a comment I wanted to make about that. Okay, anything else with Finance Committee? Okay. Governance Committee?
No meeting.
Human Services Committee?
We had a meeting, last Tuesday,
Yes.
and that was the same night you guys had the, parliamentary rules, and we met with a, nurse that works in the communities, and, her concern, she brought up the concern related to the public health facility being closed in Auburn, and provided us a wealth of information of the impact that she alone singularly has to see in a day, let alone the impact just of the facility itself. So, that's one reason why we brought up what's coming up on, later on in the resolution. But, it was very enlightening. Probably kind of had to close it off at about 7 o'clock, because otherwise we would have been there all night talking about the issues and concerns and stuff. But other than that, it was a good evening. Good information.
Good. Anything else on that? Questions? Okay, Public Safety Committee?
We met, and one of the major topics we were talking about was the police cars, and it came to out, Rich had the numbers, and it comes out that it's really not costing the city very much money at all to have the officers with the take-home program, and I think everyone would agree with it, to leave it the way it is. And we looked into, Stacy was gonna look into more energy efficient cars for purchase in the future. And then we talked, about staffing, and John Colton's main concern is getting another officer. He's not real concerned with another sergeant at the moment. And Richard, to be correct, you took the items out of the budget that Clint asked you for, so what is our actual percentage of police?
The only things to take out were the, animal control and the guards, court police, and so, I think that's what you asked, right? Did you ask me to take the jail?
There were three things.
The
Jail service.
transporting.
Right,
Expense of
that's what I did. Yeah, that's
So what is our percentage, our actual percentage of police budget?
around 55% was
Okay.
that, so it's a little bit less.
Okay, so are you good with that number?
That's what I figured it should
Okay.
be right now.
We're at, the police department, currently consumes 55% of the city's budget, and I had talked to Doug Hawkins about it, and he thinks that an officer, can actually pay for himself, and I'm not real keen on the idea of an officer writing that many tickets, but if he can find the money from within the department, I think it's great, but other than that, we'd have to take the council and decide on whether or not, because I think, what was it, about $100,000 a year, $80,000 to $100,000 a year for an officer, and, we've got roads and a lot of other things that need to be looked into, so John was gonna look and see if we couldn't find a way to get an officer without adding to the budget, or adding more to that.
Clarification on that, that's 55% of general fund budget, not a total.
Just general.
General
Yeah.
fund, sorry. And then,
You brought up roads, I just wanted to make
I'm sorry?
Oh, since you brought up roads, I just wanted to make sure, it's not
Yeah.
55% of everything, that's separate.
And then, since I brought up the issue of Second Avenue, back up.
Okay, well, the issue that two gentlemen came in, on their concern on Second Avenue, actually a private drive that runs along the railroad tracks, the east side of the railroad tracks, the west side of Butte, and it's a private drive, and they have met with John, and it's been resolved, and there's been a identification put up on the road that it is a private drive. So, as far as I know, it's resolved.
Okay. Anything else? Any questions regarding public safety? Councilmember Kay.
I just want to reiterate that I do think we need to look at the sergeant position or redo the organization chart for the police department. One of the.
Any other comments for public safety? Okay. So next is Public Works Committee.
Okay, we had some confusion on when the actual meeting date apparently was. So there was Sean Comfort from AHBL there, Rich and myself. There was not any disasters to be taken care of. So there was 4 citizens came in from West Hill concerned about placing of a cell tower up on that hill. We were not able to really answer any questions for him. That was referred to Lance, I'm sorry. Did I say that Rich was at the meeting? I meant Lance, I'm sorry. And Jack Dodge to get back with these people and answer their questions. I have not heard anything more on it. I was going to follow up next week because it's a short week this week and everybody's new on the job, so they're still trying to find out where their desk is, I think, probably. So anyway, we did get their names and their contact numbers. On the West Valley, that is moving right along. We possibly will need another $10,000 because we have to do some further surveying of some relocation of some drainage possibly and everything. Sean Comfort will be here on the 20th to give us an actual complete update, but just to make you aware that we may be into that another $10,000. We're in at approximately $50,000 now out of the city fund. So, then on Stewart Road, you'll see that they're moving along real good right now. It kind of sat limbo just a little bit. We had a little problem on just where the utilities were supposed to be located exactly, but that got straightened out and moving along great on that. In Milwaukee is just about complete on the design work and whatever, so we'll be very close to being at 90% ready on the design on Milwaukee. So as soon as there's opportunities for us to put on our begging, we can go and submit that we do have plans in place and everything else. So hopefully they're gonna consider us for establishing some funding. I don't know how we're gonna stand on that since we didn't perform last time, but hopefully we're gonna be all right. I got here that we were gonna be fully staffed in the utility department by the 1st of November, and listening to Lance tonight, we're gonna be quicker than that, so that will have our utility department up and running, so we're fully staffed when the bad weather hits here and the leaves start to fly and the storm drains plug and the streets flood and sewers back up and people complain, so.
That's a nice picture you made.
It's just truth in the valley. So that's, we should have staffing to be able to satisfy all our needs there. Any questions?
Questions from council? Thank you.
Oh, also, I might say, the meetings are scheduled to be the first Wednesday of each month at 7 o'clock.
Perfect, thank you. Technology committee.
We meet this Thursday. Might talk about my phone.
It'll make me pass out.
Depends on the candy. I'll get enough of it.
Do I need to bring some?
So, is there a report from the park board? The planning commission? No. Pierce County Regional Council, Lance will be attending those as next week. Sun Cities Association, I gave you my report. Skateboard meets next Tuesday. Valley Regional Fire Authority. Would either one of you want to give a report?
Well, we've met today, and one of the things, other than the usual cycle affair of business, we did pass a resolution supporting the preferred non-closure of the Auburn Public Health Facility and its impact to hospitals, as well as what we believe will be increase in 911 calls, whereas they won't be able to get their public health assistance. We just believe that they'll see an increase. So that was brought forward by Mayor Backus and supported by our Mayor Geyer and the full Board of Governance, and it was passed. And other than that, there was conversations communicated about the trip to 9/11 memorial and in New York by the three mayors of the three cities, as well as Councilmember Trent Walker was also there, and supposedly from everything I heard, it sounded like a very interesting and an emotional event, and highly recommended that by the people that went, that everybody should try and experience the event. So other than that, that was about it.
Thank you. Any questions?